Alright, NASCAR playoffs continue to roll around, and we got a lot to talk about in today's episode.
Wynn's gonna punch his ticket to the championship four.
Got him this time. Oh, he turned it!
No! Make room! Richard Petty and Dale Earnhardt. There's another seven-time champ. Third by Logano, maybe no! Kenseth takes him out.
Look, using lessons learned from his father to go from sixth to first and score the victory in the Pepsi 400.
20 years of trying, 20 years of frustration. Three flags in the air.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. My name is Cameron Simpson. We are talking about the NASCAR drivers who struggled in week 2 of the playoffs. Those who are going to need to have an incredible performance as we head into the final week of the playoffs. Thanks for being with us. We're going to talk about all things playoff drivers, all things Kansas, because like Darlington, Kansas fed into the playoff driver struggle. So we'll talk about all the drivers that struggled and more. But first, let's talk about the winner. His name is Tyler Reddick. Tyler Reddick goes to victory lane for, is it the third time this season? I don't know how many times he's been there this season, but it's a lot. And he did it in Kansas. This is the third time that a 2311 driver has won at Kansas. So big congratulations to them at 2311 Racing. It was obviously a big win for Reddick because it locks him into the next round. And it came at a weird strategy point. He was fast all race. But he took 4 tires along with a lot of the other drivers. But there were some drivers that only took 2 tires or didn't take any tires. I think Suarez didn't take any tires. But there's a lot of people on the 2-tire strategy. So those that took the 2 tires ended up heading towards the front of the pack, obviously. But Reddick took 4, was able to take the field 4 wide and really get in there and win this race. He was able to, the 2-tire strategy stood no chance against the rest of the field. So a big win for Tyler Reddick, obviously advances him to the next round, and a big win for 2311. They are guaranteed 1 driver in the next round. Not sure about Bubba Wallace. We'll talk about him in a little bit because he had a tough race today. Another driver that really benefited from that end of the race strategy is Joey Logano. I mean, he looked like he would be 3 points out of the playoff conversation. He gains 12 positions after pitting for only 2 tires. Those 12 positions on pit road equal 10 points in the NASCAR playoffs. So he gains 10 points because of that strategy, a huge winner. Kyle Busch also took that 2-race strategy. He ended up finishing 7th. That's where he was running before the caution. So it didn't help or hurt him. Daniel Suarez, obviously not a playoff driver, but he fell back pretty far after taking that strategy. So interesting how that caution came out the end. It looked like Denny Hamlin was going to win this race before that caution. He was running way up in the front. He was dominating. He had 4 laps left or 5 laps left. He would have won this race if the caution didn't come out. He had a 2-lap gap on the field, but Chris Buescher, a playoff driver, hits the wall and the rest of the field goes by him. So that was that. Easy win for Reddick after Hamlin was taken out. So great job there by the 45. Let's talk about some of those playoff drivers we mentioned who had a tough day. Well, you got to talk about William Byron having a tough day. He spun out way in the beginning of this race. He did recover decently today, but like I said, spun out early in this race. He had some problems. Michael McDowell, again, with problems in this race. He had problems in the last race, so Michael McDowell finds himself pretty much in a must-win situation. Look at Bubba Wallace. He ends up blowing a tire. A lot of tire problems this weekend at Kansas, especially in practice and qualifying, but that carried into this weekend's race. A lot of tire problems. And Michael McDowell was no exception. He had some tire problems in his car, and that was that for him. He ends up falling, I think it's 30-something points outside of the playoff conversation, so he's really out of it. Christopher Bell looked like he was doing all right, and then just, I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened to Christopher Bell. Again, he started on pole and just fell way back into the field. So that's really that. Let's look at the finishing results, and we'll talk about these playoff drivers in more depth. Tyler Reddick wins the race. Awesome job by him. Denny Hamlin finishes 2nd. Obviously, a huge deal there as well. Eric Jones, another great finish. I know he's not a playoff driver, but he ran so good last week as well at Darlington, and he runs well here again today. Kyle Larson, maybe you could argue, had one of the fastest cars today. He ends up 4th. Good finish. And then we talk about Joey Logano, who ran back 15, maybe 16, 17th all this weekend. Ends up finishing 5th. So a really great job by Joey Logano to get better and to get into that position. Chase Elliott, he had a decent run today. Kyle Busch, a playoff driver, ends up starting in the way back due to problems in practice and qualifying. He gets up to finish 7th. He has a 24 points to the good going into Bristol. Not going to feel comfortable, but good enough there. Great job. Christopher Bell ends up finishing 8th today after some little bit of problems, but again, another guy that needs good finishes after last week. Brad Keselowski, solid finish in 9th. We look further down at another playoff driver, Kevin Harvick, finishes 11th. He had a great day points-wise, puts himself in a good spot. Blaney in 12th. Chastain really a non-factor most of the day, and then William Byron all the way down in 15th, had a really rough day. Other playoff drivers not inside there. Look, a horrid day for Martin Truex Jr. involved in an accident. He finishes last today. Bubba Wallace in 32nd in today's race. We look at Chris Buescher, 27th. Again, Michael McDowell, 26th. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in 23rd. So, awful day for some of these playoff drivers, and this is how it looks in the points after that awful day for some of these guys. Kyle Larson, Tyler Reddick locked in. They're in yellow. Hamlin's 49 points to the good. Byron's 41. But after that, I really don't feel like the rest of these guys are safe. Keselowski, 33 to the good. Blaney, 25. Busch, 24. Chastain, only 18 to the good. Look at Buescher, 13 points to the good. After an incredible run last week, it looked like he was going to be good. After today's wreck at the end of that race, he finishes with 13 points to the good going into Bristol. Not comfortable at all. For Bell, only 13 points to the good as well. Look at Logano, 12 points to the good. It was a huge advantage, those 12 positions, but those 12 points may or may not hold on. You look at Kevin Harvick, only 7 points to good. And now we look below the cut line in red. Truex Jr., 7 points out of making it to the next round. He's my championship pick, and he's 7 points out from making it to the next round. Bristol is a great track for Truex. I'm sweating it out if I'm a Truex fan, but not as bad as it could be. So it could be a lot worse for Truex. 7 points out going to a great track. I mean, Harvick is a good track at Bristol too, and he's 7 points. So there's a lot going on there. There's a lot to watch out for this weekend. Of course, Stenhouse 22 points out, McDowell 40. They're basically going to have to win. I said that last week. But Wallace came in 1 point out, leaves. What does he leave? 19 points out. Awful day for Bubba Wallace, and he falls way back. All right, let's talk about the racing all in all at Kansas. Kansas is a good track. It could be a championship 4 track, I think. It brings a lot of excitement, obviously, but there's some problems at Kansas that may or may not be able to be fixed. I'm just being honest. At times, this racing got sprung out quite a bit, but there was a lot to see. There was a lot of action on this track, and some playoff drivers did great, some did awful. So that's the moral of the story there. So I'm going to hit the gas on today's race. I'm going to give it a B-. Thought it was a decent race. Maybe not something I'll go back and watch, but all in all, very good. Thanks for watching this video. I will be back later in the week for more on this and other things. And we will have Bristol next week. I'll see you on the next one. Peace out.